Now there are a few simple ways to upgrade your old PC, but this is how I upgraded this PC, and it worked well. If you're having difficulty loading pages, live streaming, or switching among applications, try increasing or replacing your RAM to a better, more efficient RAM sticks. Now, the RAM is what stores your data and is what currently are used for whatever you're doing on your PC. Like simply opening up a Chrome tab or playing a game, it uses RAM. So if you upgrade your RAM to, let's say, 8, 16 gigs, maybe even 32 gigs, you're going to have more capacity for opening more Chrome tabs for if you're streaming and you need all those extra ones, or you're playing a game that is demanding, so then you'll use more RAM. And I'm just going to install this RAM into this PC. It's nothing special, it's just a couple gigabytes. And I've already got a video on how to install RAM. Set the PC like that. Here, now it's easier to install the RAM. Basically, if you don't want to go watch the other video, to sum it up, you just pull back the two tabs on the motherboard on each side. Every motherboard is different, but with these older ones, normally there's a tab on each side of the RAM slot. You'll pull it back, and there's a little cutout on the RAM on the gold pieces, and you just line that up with the little prong sticking out of the motherboard, and then you push it on both sides and it'll snap in place. And just like that, both RAM sticks are installed. Now, you can upgrade your hard drive space and all that, but I strongly suggest switching to an SSD. Now, I don't have an SSD on me right now, but in the future this PC will be getting an SSD. Most likely a 240 gigabyte SSD or a 500 gigabyte SSD, just to start out with, and then it's gonna have bulk hard drive storage. That is for another video that is coming very soon. But a SSD is so much faster than a hard drive that when you try and load into games, try and boot into Windows and all that, an SSD will outperform a hard drive 100% of the time, because it is just so much faster than a hard drive. Now, hard drives tend to be cheaper, and they can have more storage at cheaper prices than an SSD. Now, that is fine if you're trying to have bulk storage, then a hard drive would be the way. If you're trying to get multiple and multiple terabytes of storage, a hard drive would be the way. But you always want to have some sort of SSD in your system, unless you're running a NAS. That's another video though. So, this PC already has a hard drive in it. I believe it's anywhere between 120 gigs to 500 gigabyte. I believe it's somewhere more around the 500 gigabyte range. But I, again, would strongly recommend getting an SSD for one of these older PCs. Now, most manufacturers in these old PCs would have more likely of either one, just completely ignored the fact to put in a graphics card, because it's not meant to be gaming, it's meant for work. Or they'll put in a very low-end graphics card. So, what I'm going to do with this PC is I've got a mid to low-end now graphics card. It's a GTX 650. It's an NVIDIA variant, so it's a trusted company. I'm just going to install it into the PC. And basically, how you do this is you would pull the tab back on the side, line up these markings here with the ones on the board, and it's a PCI X16 slot. You just have to line those up. Line up the ones on the side. There we go. You should make sure also the prongs on the side that they are lined up on the side of the case, past the motherboard. That would prevent you from not allowing it to be in. Now, if you were to upgrade your processor, some may argue that in these old PCs that you might as well just go build a brand new PC. Because after you start getting to the point where you're upgrading a processor and motherboard, then all you're left with that's from the manufacturer is the case. And at that point, you might as well just go build a brand new PC. But if you wanted to, you could try and find, like if you had an old PC that had an AM4 system, then almost all of those CPUs would be compatible as long as they're AM4 with your motherboard. Now, here, I do not believe I have an AM4. I have an Athlon X2. So, I don't believe that's AM4, but I could be wrong. So, I'm not going to upgrade the CPU in this because I think it's fine for now. But, yes, you could upgrade the CPU in your system. So far, just check up with it. We have gotten a graphics card and RAM installed in the system so far. Now, some other things that you could take into account if you wanted to upgrade were the cooling system. Now, I'm not going to because the CPU is not as demanding as others, and I think we'll be fine with the stock CPU cooler that we have in here. But if you wanted to upgrade your system with a new cooler for your CPU, you could do that, and you'd probably get better temperatures and possibly better acoustics. But hey, you do what you want, it's your money. So another thing you can do is, since you've upgraded your graphics card now and your RAM, they're probably, and possibly you've upgraded your CPU, most likely 9 times out of 10 they are going to draw more power. So what we're going to do is take a brand new power supply and install it. Oh crap! I'm just joking. Power supply's not even in here. It's back here. So you're going to take a brand new, or used depending on where you get it from, power supply that would support your graphics card, RAM, and CPU, and have enough power to power all of them. Now, it's simple to install it. You just have to line it up with the case and make sure that it slides right in where it goes. And the screw holes for it should line right up. And these cables, they're just going to dangle off the side. And power supply should come with screws. If it doesn't, well, I guess you're screwed. Okay. But you can just screw them right in. And then you'll have your power supply. And while I'm screwing this in, another reason why you might want a newer power supply installed in an old system is because some old power supplies that came with old systems have been known to catch fire, and that would not be good. So newer ones are less likely to catch fire, so your PC is safer in that sense. And also remember, when you're screwing them in with all PC parts, you should go in a crisscross pattern when you screw them in. So we've got the power supply installed. There's cables that you just left on the side that now you have to install. Now, I can go off and make an entire video on how to install power supply cables, and I might end up doing that. But basically, just to get the whole idea of it, you have a 24-pin cable that goes straight into the motherboard. It should be on the right side normally, or in my case, since the system is flipped, it's on the left side. and then that just sits in there. Then you need to find your CPU cable, which should be, normally it's 2 4-pins split and you can connect them, but sometimes it is an 8-pin, so you gotta watch out for that because it could not fit in your configuration of case. So this motherboard only requires a 4-pin, so I'm gonna take the other side off and just plug in a single 4-pin and just route it off to the side. Now, if you did have a graphics card that was demanding enough it needed PCIe power, this power supply comes with one PCIe 8-pin connector. So you would just plug that straight into your power supply, So you would just plug that straight into your graphics card and Bob's your uncle, really. It's not that hard. But this one does come with a split 8-pin, and you have 2 8-pins, so it's handy, I guess, but I don't need it, so I'm just going to put it on the side. And then you need to connect up your hard drive. So there's these power cables for your hard drive or SSD, depending on which one you got. So you just need to simply line it up and push it in place. It should give a little click or snap or whatever you want to call it. It'll notify that it's in. And then you can just cable manage all your cables off to the side or shove them. It's really up to you. And then you're done. Okay, now I put the side panel on, and now the PC is done. And what you would do at this point is you would plug it in and hope that it turns on. Now, I already test fitted all the parts before I started making the video, and now I know it works, but even if you did the same thing, you should still test your PC to make sure it still works. If not, you should go ask an expert to help you fix it, but that is all that I can do and say for this video. So thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Please, if you liked the video, please give the video a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, you can give it a thumbs down. It's completely, entirely up to you. And if you find yourself coming back to the channel on the regular, please consider subscribing. It helps me out a lot.